Hello, everybody. I'm Linda Loppa, and I'm so happy to have you here in this conversation because that's what we are going to do during the 9 months. We are going to talk, to discuss, to discover what is and what fashion needs. It's a title that has different words in it. Of course, the word fashion, because that's where we are in a fashion school. But the word critique is quite important, as we think that critique is necessary in this moment in fashion. There is a turning point of visions, feelings, emotions. Our industry needs critique because we are in this moment of change. So if I can say that we divided this course in 6 subjects plus 1, because curating is there in the title as well. And it's a title that, of course, is even more significant because of the mentor, Tim Blanks. He has this enormous culture and experience and knowledge of the fashion system, but not only. That's why the first of the 6 subjects is culture. If we don't have culture, we can't go in depth in the fashion industry. It's not only about garments, it's not only about business-related subjects. This is about thinking and changing the world. We are very ambitious in this kind of changing the world idea, because what is better than today finding a kind of written experience, a white written word on a black page, or a black written word on a white page. But once it's written, it gives an enormous impact and a satisfaction. And we can also convince others through our writing of this important moment in fashion. So sharing knowledge and experience is actually what we are going to do through debating, through writing and discussing. This will be extraordinarily important in the first months when you're here in Florence. Florence is this kind of cultural hub where a lot of people were discussing and where a lot of renovation, renaissance has been discussed. So that curating part will be also interested in the knowledge and experience, because we can curate a word, an idea, a sentence, a feeling, an opinion. And curating is not only related to the museum field, but it's also curated in our mind and in our thinking. So that's also something that is important. The second session is the dream. We have to dream, and if we can't dream, I mean, we have a very boring world. So this kind of input that our brain should be trained to understand creativity is one of the second sections of the course. Creativity is, and I know that some designers are in the session today. I know that it's not only the designing part that is the main topic of the designer's career. It's also how we can write about our collections and write about the ideas behind this kind of moment that we design. But on the other side, you have a lot of journalists. You have all those people who look after your collection during the show, after the show, and write for magazines. And we will have a very interesting faculty here, thanks to Tim Blanks. It's a bit early to name them, but those people are sitting first row in fashion shows and first row in also looking at the videos today. They are very interesting And you can watch, of course, all the shows from home. Today, that's what I did with menswear and haute couture in the last 14 days. But of course, writing about the silhouette is important when you're there physically and see what's going on in the three dimension and the atmosphere that the designer is bringing to the front. So here, this is more about vision, about belief, because we can also say that fashion is maybe going in the wrong direction. Is fashion still important in this world? Is design necessary? Can we still dream? We can also discuss this. And I know this is an interesting topic and a very, very important topic, because we have to know that we can write for magazines, for books, for the curating, also for museums and exhibitions. But here in this section, it's important that we create a community. We are together in this. Wherever you are from the world, I saw you people come from India, from Belarus, from Moldova, and so many parts of different cultures in the world. And we have to discuss this as well. It's not only about Paris, Milan, and Rome, and Milano and Paris. It's about the local dream where that we can address, that we can discuss, and that we can bring people together in this platform. Because that's the second part, is the dream. Don't forget it. We need to be to dream. Otherwise, we can't go further in this industry. The third section is speed entertainment, because everything goes faster and faster. Do we have time to dream? I mean, is fashion becoming an entertainment? Is it not really going in a direction that is only about turnover and about product? So here, this is also the writing about these subjects. We can analyze them, we can study the temporary condition of how the society is moving today. And we have to understand here really the fashion industry. It's also maybe about slowness, because do we want speed? Can we afford slowness? And I think slowness is more important than the speed. But this is also writing about the tensions between speed and slowness. So it is critical writing. It's not journalism in talking about the length of the dress and the collection as we have to describe it for a commercial magazine, because we can't say aloud sometimes what we think very deeply. But this is critical thinking and critical writing about the speed and the slowness of our industry. It is also here that we can make change, because through our writing, we can make the difference, and that's really important. The fourth section of this course is opinion and power. It's a bit also that tension between the strength and the business of the big groups, so I don't name them, but we know that we have 2, 3 big groups who are dominating the business, and this is about mergers and acquisitions. It's a moment that you can buy very easily smaller companies, and is this okay? Can we afford it to applaud this kind of tension and situation where younger designers and smaller companies are suffering because there is a lot of power in the hands of a few. We have to write about this. It's not easy to write and to say very honestly what we think about this industry. But we will have, as I said before, faculty members who are really into this. And they know how the sensibilities are. writing for different magazines, if it's for sister magazine, for another magazine, for a blog, for a website, for a press release, for Vogue, whatever. So these are the sensibilities that we are going to develop in this section, especially with young faculties, people who are in the business, writers, journalists, and critiques, because it's about critique. So we are going to write opinionated writing. We are going to write slogans for the future. We are going to make a magazine maybe, and we can translate our ideas in actions, because that's also the written word should be the beginning of an action. It's not only nice to write and put it on a shelf. It is actually, the meaning is writing that we are going into actions. And here, of course, there is the rebellious in us. I mean, we are rebels in education. And I think that makes the difference also to be in Florence. You have rebels, many in Renaissance. You have the Dante, you have the Leonardo, you have the Galileos, people who changed the world through innovation and through a kind of free thinking that something was wrong and that they could make a change. And this is also what we want to do together with you, because we think rebels can change the world. So it's inform, it's stimulate and study about how far can we go in our opinion and in our opinionated ideas. It's also studying change, and maybe there we can also go to archives, and the curation part comes in. Is it still interesting that we have all those archives? Do we have to add more and more pieces to archives? Is it an archive of a fashion museum? Is that not time to re-evaluate what we are going to archive, and so on? So I'm jumping a little bit here in the curating part, because that's also in every section. And here I focused a little bit on this, because in the museum field, we mostly can't be rebellious, because it's very
curated.
It's very curated, and it's by the ecom regulations defined what you have to do. So this is something that probably is a very interesting subject, but also a very delicate subject. We will have faculty members from the museum field who are really interested in discussing this with you, because, as I said, internally in the museum field, mostly sponsored by the government and official institutions, although we see more and more museums who are private and owned by especially those people who have the power. So this is a kind of interesting moment to discuss this tension in the curating field. We have also to perform, and we can do that by saying and writing, but also by actions and by maybe performances. This is the rebellious part in us. So don't forget it, that you have to be rebellious to come into this course. Poetry is the more emotional part of the course. It's the more and more I study and see on finding books about poetry, the more and more it's something beautiful, that in a few words you can speak a whole, you can say what you think in a few words, and it's better than a whole book. It's the slogans for the future, and it's also an emotional writing. It's there that you can express yourself in a covered way, in a subtle way, less aggressive, but maybe saying more than in a book about critique and whatever. So this is a kind of moment that you can say what you wanted to say since probably a few years or days or months, because it's so subtle and you can find the way to make it beautiful. You can transmit your anger, your trauma, your joy through poetry. It's amazing, and I tried it. It's really fantastic. There is also in the poetry the kind of performance. I mean, if you look, we will have curators for performance who come to give us a kind of workshop where you will be there, that you can perform and put some garments in an environment. We can discuss what we perform. We can walk, we can talk, we can write. We can, in the performance action, you have all the critical moments that we will discover during the 9 months. And at the end, we will make a beautiful performance where people come and see in us. There is also that kind of activist action that is in the rebellious side of us both, and Eva as well, and me. We are really ready to give you this kind of curating objects, curating archives, curating the past, the future, and transfashional curating. So this is a kind what this moment means in the title. So I hope that this is a kind of introduction only, because of course we have so many things to discuss with you, and you can ask questions, so many that you want, but be ready to jump in, because it's now, it's not tomorrow. And it's so urgent that we need young people like you to work on the future and write about it and perform about it. And so we think it's the right moment to go in this course. It's not now, it's not tomorrow, it's now. It's really we feel it on our skin. The industry needs us to be rebellious, and I think the industry is ready to listen to you as well. Okay? Thank you.
Yes, exactly. It's something like Linda said, it's what the industry needs now. It's also something what Linda, me, and of course the team inside Polymona discussed for quite a while. So the importance of this course. So Linda just walked you through so our 6 learning modules in the course. So you can find them also in the presentation, so in the keywords. You can find them on the website. And for us also particularly important is, of course, our location. So Linda already mentioned the importance of Florence. So it's where we are located. And I think it's also been a big part of the development of the course, because Florence for us, it's a place where you get inspired. So previous home of rebels and activists, but for us also a place, of course, where you can let yourself inspired, but also reflect. And I think turn these reflections into actions. So something that for us is key within this course. So we are really looking for students that are activists, students that can drive change, and students that are willing to write, to read, and create, I think, with us together. So in the different learning modules, and so, for example, on installations or performances. So maybe to give you a bit more information, about the school, about the way we work. So Linda already mentioned, so of course the mentor, so Tim Blanks. Next to the mentor, so there will be specific guest lectures, so with different industry professionals, people that are coming from the different fields, and have experiences within the different learning modules. So as Linda said, people that sit front row, people that can really guide you through the experience. So next to that, of course, we have our Polymoda, our faculty. So our, let's say, the core of our teachers, together with a leading teacher. So a leading teacher is someone that follows you really on your didactic experience, and it's an extra, let's say, a bit of day-to-day guidance next to your mentor. Next to that, of course, before we start questions, so we are very curious to know your opinions, to hear your voices, but to give you a bit more insight into also the job profiles. So because it's a very specific course where we said we're looking for activists, we're looking for people to work together with us and make change, so for the fashion industry. So here, of course, there's different options. So there's different options in terms of becoming a fashion editor, becoming a fashion journalist, and of course, becoming a fashion critic. So maybe to explain a bit more, so of course, differences between editor is that it's a first step, so where you will be supervising and coordinating the work and the content of journalists, working closely with them together, doing lots of research. Something within this course is key. So also thinking, of course, about the library that we have inside the school, which I think will become your second home, or maybe even your first one. So it's a beautiful space. We have, it's a source, of inspiration and also of guidance, because in the library there's also lots of guidance, which I think is needed within this process, because it's about interaction, it's about dialoguing. And of course, thinking about an editor, they need to dialogue. So you need to work closely together with a journalist and edit their work. Next to that, we have, of course, the fashion journalist, so the one that really attends so the fashion events, the fashion shows, newer performances, installations, because things are really changing. So, and they write, so they report, they write about these events. There are people that are in close contact with lots of industry professionals, as designers, photographers, stylists, and they report about the industry. Next to that, of course, we have a fashion critic, which is as a fashion journalist, but it's really someone who is even, let's say, more critical in their opinion, and even more, let's say, opinionated in a very specific topic. But a fashion critic and a journalist, it's two, let's say, profiles that are very closely, or that can be very closely to each other. Next to that, of course, like Linda said, we have the curation part. So here it can be many things. So it can be working together with musea, working on catalogs. Maybe narrating the story between a fashion brand and a performance. Can be more visual, can be the written word. So it can be, I think in our industry, curation is one of the most important parts that we are touching upon. And I think we also need to rebel on this part. Actually, we were talking before, there's still lots of events. Are they all worth it to be there? I think we need to have a more critical eye on what we do and what we sometimes do not. And then, of course, next to these job profiles, we also have, of course, really the study of fashion. So fashion research, a fashion theorist, really for people that want to go deeper. And they really want to look at fashion as a, let's say, a reflection of, is it political change, economic change, so cultural change, or social change, and that then go into this field and study, and of course write again to educate further. So yeah, I hope that gives you already a first good overview of what the course is and what it can mean for you.
Well, we're looking forward to start. I mean, April, end of March is very short notice, so we are looking forward to start because we want to start. We want to work on it's time to do actions and to bring you together and start a discussion. Yeah.